Welcome back to another episode of Dear Source, your Ascendancy Hotline, where we tackle all life's issues as spiritual lessons for our highest and greatest growth. And today we're doing something a little bit different. So today I want to share a revelation that came through for me, kind of through my own lessons and my own learning, but I was sharing this with a couple other people because it was like just this huge epiphany, this huge light bulb moment. And I was like, well, I need to share this with the world because it applies to the world. It applies to how our universe works, which I think is spectacular that we have the opportunity. So as you get it connected in with Source, many of you may or may not know I'm a shaman. I would consider myself a channel, probably a seer, where I just know things. I know things that are here to help the direction of humanity. And it's my role in all of those capacities to share with the world. And today is one of those days where I'm going to share what came through because I think it changes the complete dynamic of how we work and interrelate on this planet. So without further ado, let's get into what came through. So how this came about is I was having a lot of energetic interference and I was having such a difficult time trying to figure out what was going on. And part of the work as we expand as human beings is discerning, is this my energy or is this somebody else's energy? And it also could be the collective energy of, quite honestly, the entirety of the universe that you could be experiencing. And so I had been going through some personal issues interrelated with a relationship. And I couldn't figure out why I kept feeling so off. And it was interesting because I started to reflect on other relationships I've had in the past. And I was like, okay, I've kind of have the same pattern here. Like, what's going on? And so the first kind of aha moment that came through had to do with, this isn't my energy. I'm actually transmuting and running their energy. They're like reflecting back to me how I truly feel internally. And then I feel like I'm the one over here transmuting and going through kind of this chaos that is really, I think, how they're feeling internally. And I have a tendency, as I've described, to take all of that on and to introspect and look at, like, where am I wounded? What am I not doing? Why is this coming up for me again? And I had this breakthrough moment on Saturday morning as I was driving to go work out. I was starting to really think about just the whole dynamic of masculine and feminine energy and how the two work together and what's everybody's role within that dynamic. And it was such a powerful revelation, especially for you ladies. Get ready. I was thinking about a couple stories that have guided me when I think about the dynamic of a truly holy relationship. And one of those dynamics is Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And we in society tend to give Jesus all the credit for who he was and for resurrecting. But if it weren't for Mary Magdalene witnessing his resurrection, would there even be a story of his resurrection? So Mary, in my opinion, and based on what I have read in the Gnostic Gospels, what I've studied about Mary Magdalene, was Jesus' beloved. She was Jesus's divine counterpart. And her job was to anchor in and witness his divinity. That was her role. And in her anchoring in and witnessing his divinity, she allowed him the access to expand and I think become who he was meant to be. And so I was reflecting on that story. And then I was thinking of the Egyptian goddess Iris and her love, Osiris, which was dismembered, sent into the bowels of, the underworld. And it was her job to remember him back to life, to put him back together. And I was thinking about these examples and I was thinking about my own situations. And I was like, what is going on here? And it's like the analogy that came through was, if you think of electricity and let's say an outlet, the masculine is the plug from whatever needs to get plugged in, and the feminine is the outlet. We're the one that when that masculine plugs into us, that we're the ones running and transmuting their energy to ground it into this world. We're here as the negative polarity. They're here is, according to most, the positive polarity. But you actually can't have anything work without the other. Like they have to go together. There's a reason why we are naturally inclined to pair up. There's a natural order to that. But when I was starting to think about the feminine's role, it's like we're the anchor. We're Mother Earth. We're Gaia. We're the one that's like bringing in all of this energy into the planet. And not saying that the man isn't doing that, but in these roles of divine partnership, it's so important to understand what's really going on. And then I was thinking about my own relationships and watching it even with people in relationship that are close to me. And it's like, yeah, the woman is the one that's grounding and running all of this energy to give back to the man. It's like, why does the man come off as like, they're so, calm, cool, and collected for the most part? And it's like, well, because the feminine is taking their energy and running it through them. Why does there a perceived idea that women are, let's say, maybe a little bit more crazy or a little bit more emotional or whatever terms you want to use? We kind of have those archetypes and those stereotypes going on. But it was a real big realization for me of like, that's what happens when I am in partnership with someone, is I'm absorbing and transmuting their energy. Unbeknownst to me, I wake up, as a divine being and ground in my energy through all my chakras into the ground and ask for protection to be synced up to keep my energy within me. So it's like, okay, I'm doing all this stuff. Why do I feel like I am like possessed or crazy? And it was a big aha moment to realize like, oh, as a divine feminine, this is the role that you have. And we don't even knowingly do it. If you even think about Mother Earth, what is she doing? She's grounding our energies. She's absorbing our energies. She's transmuting our energies. Well, she's the feminine energy. So we, as a divine feminine, our archetype, that's what's happening. We're taking this masculine energy and we're having to ground that through us. And I was talking to a couple people about this because I was like, I think I'm on to something huge of what's really going on here. And when you even think of most stories, it's like, who is the real heroine of the, who's the hero of the story? It's typically the woman. Like in every story, it's like, who's anchoring in the masculine for the masculine to actually be the masculine? There is a woman, there's a divine counterpart. Think about Jesus's even birth. Again, there's this archetype of Mary that, had to be chosen by an angel. Like, you wouldn't even, again, have a Christ if you didn't have the woman in order to have the baby. So when we think about like what's going on and why are women maybe less inclined to be like, I'm good on my own, or it's because I think women are slowly starting to wake up to, I'm the one that's transmuting. I'm the one that's grounding and anchoring in this relationship, and not saying that the man is not doing their part, but us as feminines are the ones running and transmuting the energy, which is highly, highly, highly intensive. Highly intensive. Almost to the point where it's like, I have felt times in my life that it's like my circuitry is going to explode if I don't find a way to anchor myself in a different way to withstand this wattage. And to know myself as a feminine and to go, these things that are running are not mine. They're not mine. And I am clear in that. And you can inquire about that. Is this my energy? Is this mine? Oh, it's not mine. Well, whose is it? And it's our job as divine beings, each and every one of us, to bring our energy back into ourselves, as well as ground that energy down and anchor it in. So when we think of these archetypes of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, Iris and Osiris, I could probably go on and on and on, but us as women, we're anchoring and grounding and witnessing these men into their divinity. And, there's that kind of that saying, like, there's behind every great man is a strong woman, or I don't know exactly how that goes, but it's like, what man have you seen out there that is not connected to a divine feminine that's ultra successful? Because that woman is the anchoring in for that masculine energy. And so we've got a big job. What a revelation of like what powerhouses we are as women and what we're here to do. And what a special opportunity that we have. But it also, when you know what's going on, you can show up and anchor yourself into the world differently, rather than feeling like you're at the ebb and flow of the mercy of what's going on. And then we're not running the stories of how wounded we are as divine feminines. And I think the amount of work that I've done on myself, thinking like, I'm so wounded, what's wrong with me? And this was a huge realization of, there's nothing wrong with you. This is just the energetics of the dynamic going on. And within that, you can stand in your power. And when I didn't know that, it was like, oh, I've got all this trauma. I've got all this wounding. I feel so unworthy. What is wrong with me? Woe is me. Ba, 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 ba. Running this insane pattern of my ego, like I'm doing something wrong, when it's like, no, this is energetically what's going on. So remember, there would be no Jesus without a Mary Magdalene. There would be no Jesus without a Mary Magdalene that we know of, a story of somebody that resurrected. Because she witnessed. She was a witness. She saw him. She was the first person to see him. It was her love for him and the belief in eternal life that was the catalyst for him to be alive after death. So Osiris wouldn't have come back to life had Iris not loved him back into remembrance. So guess what, ladies? We are the powerhouses of the world. We are the energetic anchors. We are the grounding rods for the lightning that comes in to anchor that energy in. We are here to be in divine relationship. We are here to have relationships as Jesus and Mary Magdalene had with our divine counterparts. We are here to love like Osiris did, to remember people back into their existence. We are magic. The world wouldn't exist without the divine feminine energy. So every time you start to question, get curious and inquire and figure out what's going on. We're about to break this pattern because, again, think about the story of even Jesus in the Bible. It was written by men. So what do men need to do? They need to keep the powerhouses of us in check because we're the real anchors in this world. There would be no men without women. So just think about that today. And if you'd like to connect on energies around divine masculine, divine feminine energy, about relationships and how that works and how you can anchor yourself in to be the witness for your partner, reach out. I'd love to have a one-on-one with you. Like I said, this is revolutionary. This is breakthrough. This is next level. This transforms every human relationship, but specifically divine unions and what we would consider romantic relationships, because when you understand this, you can change the way that you're showing up and understanding what's really going on. So let's connect. I'd love to get you on my calendar. I am here in service of the world. If you want to talk, like always, book the link in my calendar. Let's connect. And let's just change the world. When we get more understanding, we can change how humanity orientates and relates itself in this world for astronomical change and results. We're breaking free. We're breaking free from the matrix. We're transcending. We're moving to a higher density of consciousness, which means bringing up awareness and residing in our heart space, residing in a space of love. What a magical time. And coming soon in 2025 is a beautiful community I'm building where we can engage, interact on all these topics for your spiritual growth, where you have a community that supports you, helps you feel seen, know that you're not alone, and that comes together for the betterment of the human race. So until next time, honor your truth, trust the process, and stay connected to Source.